Alright, hey, what is up? I am going to be working on this panel here for my Realm Ethereal comic book series, The Dream Awakens. This is page 21 of the final issue in this story arc, so it's a 4-issue story arc. You can of course read it for free on my website, reneariola.com. If you go for the comics tab, you can find the Realm Ethereal, The Dream Awakens, and you can check that out. So as I ink this page here, what the I guess the topic of this video is kind of like why I'm doing my own comics. Of course, I love to draw. I love to, create my own worlds and kind of come up with my own stories, because that stuff is really a lot of fun. And I've really been doing this stuff since, I think since 1982. So just to put a little perspective here, I think by the time this video comes out, I'll either have had my birthday in June, or it will be just a little bit after. But yeah, so I turned 50 this year, and as a comic book artist and a creator and an illustrator who's pretty much independent, who's never really done any work for any of the big publishers, I still enjoy making my own artwork. And especially comic books, I've done painting, I've done, well, I've only really done painting, I've done traditional painting, and I've done digital painting in the last 5 years, which is a lot of fun, and I enjoy that. But I always keep on coming back to comic books and comic book artwork in particular, telling stories, as I mentioned. So one of the things that, as I'm looking back, just, at 50, about to turn 50, or I'm already 50, depending on when this video comes out, I look back at the times when I was wanting to do professional work, and at the time when, let's say, in my high school years, late 90s or early 90s, and then you had Image Comics. There was only Marvel and DC, and eventually later DC, of course, Image, where you wanted to, as an artist, that was the place to submit work. And there were other publishers as well at the time that were, like Dark Horse was a big publisher as well. They were in that pie chart, if you will, one of the pieces that stood out next to the Marvels and the DCs. But yeah, there was a time when all the work I was doing was just geared toward making samples and sending to those companies, just submitting blindly, unsolicited. And being the 18, 20, 19, 20-year-old kid that I was, the only resource we had really for kind of understanding how the comic book industry worked, because there was really no internet at the time. Not the way it is like now, with everything on there that you can research and find. We just really had either magazines, or Wizard magazine was a big one back in the day for me. I think before that there were a couple of newsstand publications that talked about very, very, very little, but it's hard for them to find them in the area where I grew up in California, in a small town. But that was the only resources I had, and really, you were just consuming comic books. At least I was. That's all we were doing, and just kind of looking and going, wow, this is cool art, I want to do what these people do, and just making stories and working on your craft. Even you didn't really know you were working on your craft, because you were just trying to emulate what you saw. And then of course I would go to a junior college and then start learning more basic art, your introductory art to figure drawing and your perspective and some other stuff too, in art history, and then eventually take that more up into a university, California State University level, getting into illustration and kind of figuring what that's all about. But through it all, the desire to create comic books has always been the main focus for me. And when I look back, I'm or as I pause and I look today, after looking back, I'm just really happy doing artwork and then making my own creations. So in the past, maybe the past 10 years, I haven't really done a lot of really focused fan art, because that's really what this is turning into. If you're just making samples or drawings that are, the top IPs from the top publishers, that's all you're really doing. You're just making IPs. And I know there are people who take the artwork and they'll either make prints of them and sell them under the table, or go to a con and do things. And I've certainly done my very small share of private commissions. It's not a big part of my business, that what I do for my artwork. even though this artwork thing is totally just a side gig, I still would rather focus my energies and my times into something that I could not so much own, that's a big part of it, but also I want to invest in things that I am interested in doing. And when I'm doing my own comic book and my own artwork, I really just get to call my own shots. And I'm lucky that I am an artist, because I can create the visual to whatever story there is that I'm thinking of. So I just enjoy doing this comic book. I'm going to continue doing this comic book. You know, I'm super excited that this issue is wrapping up, because then that means I can do one of two things, or maybe I'll do these in specific order. Like I'll release a 4th issue of this comic book, like a floppy comic staple, you know, 20, 30, 32 pages or something like that. And then I get to put together a compilation, a trade paperback, or maybe like a special hardcover edition that collects all 4 issues in this story arc. And I'm super excited about that. I'm going to announce that as soon as this series wraps up. Obviously, I've still got a few more pages to draw. I think I said this is page 21 in that 4th installment. But definitely the universe I'm crafting, I'm enjoying doing that. I enjoy it far more than doing any kind of fan art, to be honest with you. I just love doing these creations, and as an indie artist, you know, I'm not going to be, I won't be any more focused on any one single piece of property or artwork or story than my own. And that's just from like a personal perspective. Yeah, I can take paid gigs, and those help, obviously, but this is my emotional bread and butter here. Will never stop creating work for myself, no matter what. And this is what I enjoy doing. So anyway, that was just something I just wanted to share for today in this video. And it comes from not really, I'm not ragging on anybody if you do fan art. I love fan art. I still follow. I still have a pull box where I get things at my local comic book shop, comic books that are stories that are from the big publishers that I enjoy reading, because obviously those characters, if you're a fan like I am, you know, I can separate myself being a fan and then wanting to do my own work. So, you know, whatever you like is cool. Just saying, you know, like I love doing independent work, and you know, at my age now, I'm like, you know, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I really want to keep doing this kind of stuff for myself, because it's so much fun. Thanks for watching.